Pfizer is scheduled to report first quarter earnings on Tuesday, April 29th, before the market opens. Pfizer reported $17.76 billion in the previous quarter, beating by $499.25 million. They reported 63 cents of earnings per share, beating by 17. For this quarter, they're expecting revenue of $14.11 billion with earnings per share of 69 cents. Over the last 90 days, one analyst has raised estimates and two analysts have lowered estimates. Pfizer meets or beats analysts' 1 year forward estimates 82% of the time. When we look at the PFE price chart, we can see since the beginning of the year it pretty much traded sideways. In preparation for the tariff announcement, it began to decrease, and then after the tariff announcement, it decreased pretty significantly following the trend of most other equities and the SPX as well. We have seen somewhat of a recovery over the last 2 weeks. When we look at the RSI, we can see that it is improving slightly, but it is still below the midpoint at 47.97. For the PPO, we can see that it is beginning to trend positively, but it's still below the midpoint, and we did have a signal line crossover to the upside. When we look at the relative strength compared to the SPY, we can see that the momentum is slightly higher than that of the SPX, but the relative strength is below that of the SPX. Pfizer has pretty much been in decumulation since September of last year. We can also see that money flows have been mostly negative since about October of last year. Then when we compare relative performance to the SPY, we can see that it's underperforming the SPY over the last year by 11.44%. It's underperforming the healthcare sector by 3.27%, and it is underperforming this industry group by 3%. When looking at the Pfizer 5-year weekly chart, we can see that it's pretty much been having weak performance since about the end of 2022 for the long-term trend. And likewise for the medium-term trend, we see it pretty much underperforming. And currently in the short-term trend, it is improving and looks like it could cross above the zero line here shortly. When we look at the key metrics for Pfizer, we can see that they are trading at a discount compared to the sector. Pfizer is trading at 7.74 times forward PE compared to the sector at 16.58. When we look at the EPS growth rate, looks like Pfizer's going to be growing their earnings per share at about 18.15 compared to the sector at 8.6%. And their revenue is expected to grow 2.27% compared to the sector at 7.84%. And then finally, when we look at profitability metrics, it looks like PFE has a net margin of 12.62 compared to the sector at minus 3.29. Finally, we'll take a look at fast graphs, and we can see that Pfizer is currently trading at a 7.48 time PE, blended PE. They have an EPS yield of 13.38% and a dividend yield of 7.5%. Over the last 13 years, including 10 years of actuals and 3 years forward, we can see that Pfizer has grown their earnings by 2.5% annually. They have a fair value ratio according to Fast Graphs of 12.8, and they traded a normal PE of 12.96. They are currently trading below their normal PE and their fair value PE. According to Fast Graphs, the analysts are looking for an earnings growth rate of -5 in 2025, +3 in 2026, and a -2 in 2027. So these growth rates look quite a bit lower than what we saw from Seeking Alpha. Unless Pfizer can turn around their current business, it looks like they'll probably be trading at their normal PE, so it looks like it could be pretty much flat over the next 3 years unless something is announced related to a turnaround. I want to thank you for watching and hope the earnings preview was helpful. Talk to you again soon. Have a great day. Thank you and trade well.